Good morning. First time I saw foiling was the air chair. And whether it was behind a boat launching huge airs or in giant waves going insanely fast in what looked like the craziest conditions and gear ever, I was blown away and knew right away that these guys are masters. Their competence, their ability is way beyond anything I could even imagine. Wouldn't know where to begin to attempt to do this. Fast forward 2 or 3 decades, and I know from personal experience how difficult what we're watching right now is. And I'm confident and know from experience that it's also equally hard. We're seeing unbelievable mastery, incredible competence and ability. The parking lot was full mid-morning. I felt fortunate to get a space. Anyone watching can probably understand why. There was standing room only, and the whole beach was full. Watching these pilots, competence, mastery, ineptness is as far from my mind as it could possibly be. I can only imagine the training, the difficulty, the coordination, not only of the pilots, but the gear, building machines that can do this, coordinating everything. Even if it was 100% autopilot, being able to design a system that could do this. It's insane. It's incredible. There's a reason why everyone, regardless of how they feel about jets or the noise or the whatever it is, the power, the ability of these machines and the pilots is incredible. I used to think that these institutions were inept or incompetent. 3 decades of dealing with regulators only confirm this. In every trip to the DMV or to the post office, doubly, triply confirmed that something is very wrong. Competence and efficiency are not the words I would use to describe any of that. How is it that the same institution can have ridiculous extremes? Like, how are these guys so competent, so capable? Both the entire operation, the ability, the everything about it is so incredibly competent. And yet a few blocks away, this is what we find. This is nothing new. I've seen this for 40 years, maybe longer. Certain areas are insane to watch, all kinds of shenanigans. Others are pristine and beautiful. How is it that it's run this way? How can simultaneously one area of the city be highly coordinated with tons of competence and ability and ridiculous amounts of machinery and coordinating with public and private and all mixed together, and everyone's safe and it's unbelievable, whereas a few blocks away, it's insane, just unbelievable mismanagement and horrific. How can those two extremes exist simultaneously right next to each other? A number of years ago, the most elaborate and expensive security system in the world was defeated by a handful of dudes with razor blades. It seemed like the most spectacular failure in the history of failures. As a videographer and editor, I often see the same people out in either their next level or they're at a lower level. And the folks at the highest level, they're always at the highest level. They're always doing incredible, insane things. It's not like one day they're a total noob kook who completely fails and messes everything up, and the next day they're ripping like crazy. No, they're always good. Always. Either they're good or they're not. I've never seen that rule violated. That's the way it works. If you put in the decades and the time and the experience and the refinement and the development and get to that level, you don't just magically revert back to being a total buffoon. The past few years, we've seen collaboration, coordination worldwide, all institutions at the same time, regardless of language, all cooperating, putting out a unified message, all beating to the same drum, no division, all moving forward, all saying the same thing. Authorities working around the clock, day and night, weekends, putting in extra time, rushing things out. When does this institution ever behave that way? We're expected to believe that they're incompetent and bumbling fools in one event, and then perfectly competent and make no mistakes and just seamless integration and timing and delivery, all in the same institution. They can somehow rotate from one to the other. Who do they think they're fooling? Whether it's in the Big Apple or the islands, or more recently in the desert, we're expected to believe that this was just a failure, an inability to notice, and a calamity of errors or missteps with the most efficient system in the world. I'll say it again. Who do they think they're fooling? When the big institutions stand to benefit, there's an endless supply of funds, resources. When I lived in the city, I would look out my window, and early in the morning on street sweeping day, I would see the precision of the meter maids and the street sweepers flying down the roads, giving hundreds of tickets like clockwork, just a well-oiled machine, unbelievable confidence and ability. Likewise, as a delivery driver, when the parking lane changed to a commuting lane and a towaway zone, the tow trucks and the meter maids worked in perfect harmony and synchronicity, and they could make a van full of delivery goods disappear within seconds. Unbelievable competency when the funds were flowing their way. I believe in my heart that we're all highly competent and capable, that we all have amazing gifts and abilities, and that when things go crazy, we all have the ability to rise to the occasion. Imagine if all that resources and all the machinery and the institutions were put to use to serve us, to help us, to guide us, to love and take care of each other. What would it feel like if the authorities and the mainstream media had an endless stream of people being kind and empathetic and loving and taking care of each other? What kind of message would that put out there? What would that do to our vibes and our thinking and the way we'd show up in the world? Would we get up in the morning thinking about how it sucks and this is no good? Or would we be like, oh man, I feel so inspired by seeing what I saw last night. I want to go out and emulate that. What can I do today to make the world a better place? Let's choose tomorrow, now, today. Let's do it differently. Let's come together. We have more in common than we do differences. So big hug, warm embrace, kind word. Big smile, and a shout out to Felix.